Donnie, bad producing credits by me. I forgot to ask if you had the spread picks available and ready to go. If you don't, we have plenty of screens to kind of buffer until then.
Yeah, no. Start off with something else. I'll have the spread picks ready in a second.
Okay, see that again? That was my fault, but that's a good producer taking the responsibility of it right off the top of the show and giving him some time. Now we can talk about some of the better plays of the week because Gov has the DK Live up, which I always like to look at before I even kind of look at my lineups because I like to see who's at the top and be like, would I have even played that guy? And I know some people can't do that because then whoever that guy is, they almost fantasize about like, oh, well, I almost played him more. Oh, if I would have played, I'm not that guy. I'm actually very hard on myself usually, and I will look at it like, oh, this guy did well. Was I ever going to play him? I think I do that very well. I know Gov's done it very well too because we swim in the same circles when it comes to reviews and kind of the same community. We talked about it pre-show a little bit, but the Tucker thing made sense because we thought somebody from the Bucks would be running and they do like explosion plays. But I'm not mad at not playing Sean Tucker.
Exactly. Like I agree with you. Like you look at the map. The whole reason we were playing Bucky.
Right.
Let me switch to running back real quick. Like the whole reason we were playing Bucky
and Bucky even
was because of the matchup. And Bucky did, for his salary, basically be okay.
Right.
It wasn't great. But like 81 yards and a touchdown, 2 for 24 receiving, like that's fine. But it was one of those where like I knew he was chalky, so because he was chalky, I treated him as a chalk cheap running back, and I didn't do a lot of extra research. Like I knew he was chalky because he's gonna be getting there was no Rashad White, so there was more workload for him to start with. And he was in a good matchup against New Orleans.
So we talk about,
but I didn't think because he was chalky, I didn't think it through all the way and be like, well, will Bucky actually get all of the workload, or is he still going to split with someone? And if he does, that person's also in a good matchup.
Right.
Now, Sean Tucker going off the way he did, like I didn't watch him in college. I didn't know his talent level. So the people I've seen that did, yeah, this guy
he's
definitely could have had this kind of game.
Yeah. What I know about him, he's fast, but I would have still never played him because I would have said Bucky Irving is the more complete running back. I still think he is. It's just we got the run out of the fast upside player, breaking loose and then not going down. Like that's possible. We see that a lot in Showdown where it's like, I'm going to play this guy because he's got a one play upside is what I consider it, where it's like one play, he's going to the house. I think you can almost get yourself in trouble with plays like this. So if you're going to make plays like this, you got to know why. Now, this wasn't the Millie contest. I believe it won the Millie. And that's why people are like, well, I should have thought of it too. It's like, that's a Millie contest. So the
lineup that won the Millie was fucking disgusting. The lineup that I saw winning the Millie was a full Tampa Bay, like, complete onslaught. And then you also sort of onslaughted Baltimore without Lamar. Like, it was crazy.
And that's why I don't play those contests and why they're not worth my time, because those kind of onslaughts would make me ill to play them on a weekly basis and lose. Now, if you can stomach it, you're going to get paid off like this week, but I can't stomach it, so I don't play. So I just want to make it clear to people, like, if you're going to play things like that, then this is the week where you got to celebrate and be happy you did it. But it's not for everyone.
Yeah, I just want to say I messed up writing down the spreads, so I'll have to go back and do it. And honestly, we haven't finished the spreads because me and
I was about to say the spreads aren't quite done. Me and Donnie still have the fucking showdown.
Yeah, but I wrote it down wrong anyway, so I'll have to go back and rewrite it. I wrote it in order of when it came and not our name order, so it's all out of place right now.
I was about to say I have it right here written down. So
well, if you can send it to me, I'll fix it. But just send it to me in a private chat.
No, I'll just put it on screen there.
Yeah, if you know, you know.
So I can tell you right now, just straight up, Donnie, you're good on one. I'm good on mine. and it all comes down to us tonight, whether who's going to be 2-0
and Logan was, and our group pick lost again.
Logan, let's just let Logan be.
Let's not talk about it right now.
Yeah, let's just let Logan let his picks be just like our show pick, and just let him just.
Yeah, we just won't talk about it. Like, when we're wrong, we usually do.
People are wrong sometimes, and we were wrong on our show pick. The Jags had nothing to do. The Jags, somehow them being there earlier made it so that they did not come to play in London.
Caleb Williams showed up. I think that's what matters.
When I'm wrong,
that Bears team looked as good in London as it has all year.
It is true. But when I'm wrong, I'm very wrong. And then when I'm right, I'm like I'm on the anthill. I'm the king of the mountain by myself, because no one can believe the gall and the intensity that I played something. So that's how I am, and I have no apologies for it. It's funny because my cheapest plays, the 2 quarterbacks, actually did serviceable for what I needed. It's just I got unfortunate and bit by the injuries, which we'll see, and plenty of our reviews here as well. But Drake May actually exceeded value. I would say some of that was lucky, some of that was extreme talent, but we only saw small flashes of it because the Patriots are not the team that we need them to be to totally unlock his talent, which we knew. If you were fair and balanced about it, you knew that. Like, they have a bad offensive line. You knew that.
I would like Donnie, once he really gets a good review of it, to actually tell me, because I didn't get to watch the game. So
I have it all letter grade. Every snap I have letter grade.
So I would ask you about the 3 glaring things. Then.
Mm-hmm. Preview it a bit.
What do you like? I would ask you, what do you think of his 2 interceptions, and what do you think of the fumble he was attributed for?
So
those were his 3 big glaring mistakes.
Interception 1, I have it ranked as an F. Obviously, he just completely overthrowed it. He should have taken his check down. It was a 3rd down and short.
Bad read and bad read and made a bad throw. He made a bad read. Had a bad throw.
If he threw the ball right, it could have been catchable, but you shouldn't have to to your receiver make a play.
So
that's the first one, right?
Bad read and bad throw.
It's just an F. It's just an F altogether.
Yeah,
the second interception I have ranked as a B throw. It was a screen pass. The offensive lineman that was blocking for the motion running back got thrown to the ground by Will Anderson. Will Anderson then tipped the ball up in the air, and the DB caught it off a Patriots wide receiver helmet. So it was just the play was bad, and the offensive lineman didn't do his job.
That's why Killen was considered like a fire drill, and the wrong thing happened, but the ball should never have been put in that position.
Right. So if the offensive lineman blocks, he does not have that issue.
Right.
And the fumble, yes, he got hit. The offensive line protection was awful, but if you fumble, it's your fault. It's always going to be your fault. If you wouldn't drop a baby, you shouldn't drop the ball. That's how I feel about it.
That's a good way to think about it. I like that way of thinking, Donnie. You wouldn't drop a baby. So, again, that's a lot of volume I was not expecting. I'd have to go back and look. But
no Ramondre. That's really
Jacoby, with no Ramondre, they definitely let this guy sling it 33 times. Go 20 of 33 with 3 touchdowns is pretty solid.
Yeah. And
I'd also like to know, again, I'll dig into it later, how many of those 5 rush attempts were actual, rush attempts, or did he have to scramble?
Oh, they were all scrambled. They were no design runs.
None of them were a design run. So that fumble, so basically that's pretty good for a team that had no offensive line protecting him.
Yeah,
that
was all him being just.
He made one really bonehead play on 1 interception, but really the rest of it.
I have him marked down. I have him marked down as 5 bad overthrows.
Okay,
but
so
I will live with
of those 13 incompletions, 1 was a horrible mistake and a bad overthrow of an interception. Another couple of them were just bad overthrows of his, I'm just going to say it, shitty wide receivers. So, okay. Yeah. Drake May actually probably came out of that looking pretty good.
Yeah, the synopsis is going to, I think I was pretty fair, But maybe I'm a little more biased than I need to be. I think I was very harsh.
How would you compare him to the other rookie quarterback, Bo Nix?
I don't watch.
I got their stats up on. I got their stats up on the screen. Just take a look at the stats. They both threw it 33 times.
I mean,
they both had about 5 rushes.
I think Bo's just got more talent around him, so it's harder to grade in general.
I'll say this even stronger.
I know Bo's defense is very good, but I don't know, like, offensively, if, like, yes, there was no Ramondre. Like, if Ramondre were there, I think New England actually has equal to better talent.
I don't know where the defense
Ramondre
went.
is better than Javonte.
I don't know where the defense went.
I'm
very disappointed.
Are you ready for this take? I'll be honest. If I was to rank rookie quarterback performances this week, it would go Daniels, it would go Drake May, and it would go Rattler.
Well, Caleb.
Oh, yeah, but Caleb wasn't on this slate, so that's why
Yeah, we're just going for the guys on the slate. So, like, Drake May, Bo Nix, Jaden Daniels, Spencer Rattler. Was there another one starting this week? No, actually.
Because I just want to mention, Spencer Rattler lost his number 1 target in Chris Olave in the very first game, by the way. The interception, the turnover, I should say, he actually was setting up a really good drive, had hit the tight end Johnson over the middle for like a 20-yard gain, had thrown the ball away, didn't force it, was actually like rolling out, almost putting on his best Patrick Mahomes impression is what I would say. Like, that's kind of how he played. Hit Chris Olave in the stomach. Chris was going down and then got like concertoed almost, where his like neck folded in the wrong direction and hit the ground, and then the concussion happened.
And just to clarify on the Drake May synopsis here, one last thing on it. I do have 2 plays where it's just like he's leaving the pocket or being too jumpy too early. Now, that's going to happen to every quarterback, especially a rookie quarterback. If I only saw it twice when you have a terrible offensive line, good on you, because I expected much worse.
So to go full circle, though, and to kind of bring it back to the whole thing, whether it be the Drake May, the Spencer Rattler, the Bucky Irving, we saw that there was a lot of unexpectedness in this game. And I think it was coupled with this, like, there's this great value, so I expect a lot from this player, when we didn't bake in the uncertainty. Like, I'm okay with Spencer Rattler getting 12 because I played Spencer Rattler so I could play CeeDee Lamb. So I could play, I wanted to play Henry and CeeDee Lamb in a lineup.
It needed to be Henry and A.J. Brown.
And that's
or Godwin, or for your pay.
I paid for the wrong expensive guy in my cheap stack. So it's easy to point out and say, like, you shouldn't have done this. And Donnie brought up a good point before the show even and said, yeah, but Logan, if you would have played for a more consistent floor at quarterback, your lineup would have looked different. And he's probably right about that. The stack would have been different. I would have maybe had a chance at more consistent points, but I was shooting for that high upside. I knew what I was doing with that lineup because I wanted to take a Spencer Rattler lineup, get Henry, get Lamb, do things that no one else would be able to afford to do, so I could get in the upper 10, 5% of a lineup.
Yeah, and when we built our Spencer Rattler lineup, I said immediately, when you put Rattler in, we have to hit our home runs.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it turned into. If you hit those home runs, you are going to the top. I don't like to play that way.
And that's why I'm not taking away the Millie win with Tucker, because it's like that guy, he was playing that $20 entry in a Millie for that home run. That's just a home run.
Again, sometimes you got to take the shot. Like, I played a 1% owned Tyler Algier as leverage off of Bijan Chalk in a great spot, and he did hit for me. Like, that's one of the reasons, like, my best lineup of the week, like, I have it pulled up. Hold on. Give me 1 sec.
No, both running backs did very well. Bijan was a couple points off the 100-yard bonus as well.
He was. I played him this week.
Like, this was my best lineup of the week. As you can see, 169-1. And I took a basic 0 from Calvin Ridley. And like Calvin Ridley and Tolbert killed what was actually a very solid lineup with a 1% owned dart that put me near the top. I got hurt by chalk. Oh.
And this lineup did not cash, right?
No, this was my best lineup. I actually won $20 on this lineup.
Okay.
This lineup did cash. Now, I did have a lineup that did not cash.
I'm going to hurt your heart with that $20.
I did have a lineup that did not cash by 1 point, just like ours. And that was this lineup. And it was Amari Cooper not being able to pull in a touchdown that really hurt it. Or really, Jaden Reed getting hurt and going out early, and then Dobbs does all the work afterwards. When Reed had already had a touchdown and was looking like he was like he already had 6 catches for 28 yards before he went out. Like Reed was going to smash that day. He goes out, and now Watson and Dobbs have great days too.
This is a really good point, and you can swallow it more because you won. Even though I know you don't care that much about profit in terms of like whether it was a good process, you literally missed out on 7 points from Williams on that touchdown. He literally had a touchdown in his hands, like a 10-yard gain. You know, would have been
that would have helped me so bad. Like I was sitting there sweating bullets during that Dallas-Detroit game, hoping Tolbert gets any kind of garbage. And that second JMO touchdown would have been so good.
But see, we can go back and play narrative game and be like, well,
I pulled up my lineup as well. It wasn't my best lineup, but it was the closest to cash line.
I'll pull one of my personal.
I'm about to say, you can do that. I have all 3 of mine in this tournament. So like you can show, I can show you just that's how good of a week I had with my Mayfield lineup. But then I had this was my worst lineup, my Dak lineup.
This one finished. This is my Goff lineup that's finished 134.50. It was 0.2 away. All I needed was Jalen Polk to not be a drop monster, and I'm fine. It hurts. He dropped 3 passes. Very sucky that's how that finished me. But I'm fine with it. Like, my chalky guy in Tolbert fails. Whatever. St. Brown doesn't get forced to do anything, but he's still got a garbage time touchdown. That was the luck of it. And, you know, Goff had a couple touchdowns called back himself.
Goff could have had an even bigger day.
Right.
Yeah, Goff really could have had a 5-touchdown day. And that really blows that we missed out on that as a 3% owner of Goff.
You guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but I really do like to divide, when I'm reviewing things like this, divide it between, was it luck? Was it bad play? Like, if I played this 100 times, what would happen? And if you do things like that, it doesn't even matter the week. People forget, like, what week we're even talking about, and it becomes like, okay, well, could I see this happening in the next couple of weeks? Because we see a lot of times with narrative or box score watching where people just over-evaluate 1 week and be like, oh, Polk is terrible. I'm never playing Polk again. It's like, yeah, he had a terrible run out for what you expected. He dropped some passes unexpectedly and undeservedly.
And he didn't get hit on one of them. One of them he got hit, and I can at least, he got hit.
Right.
One was a blatant 10-yard catch that he just drops. That's 2 points gone.
Polk, as a rookie, made a bunch of mistakes. That's where it's like you got to evaluate that with the Drake May pass. Like, Drake May made a good pass there. Polk fucked that.
Yes.
But
that was rated as a B throw, I think. I don't know exactly what it was. It might have been a B+ throw.
And that's my problem, Donnie, is a lot of people do that. They're like, it was a B+ throw. Polk messed up. But guess what? Polk is also 3,600 or 3,800. The reason his price is that way, it's baked in for him not to live up to expectation. So that's the problem. Is a lot of people don't factor that into lineups. It's like there's a reason he's cheap. It's not just because he's a rookie and you want to play him. It's like DraftKings is baiting you. They're tempting you to play these guys, and sometimes when it doesn't work out, you got to be like, I could have played more consistency here. I did not. I have to eat this snowflake and hope it's a snow cone. Sometimes that happens. In the interest of fairness, you guys all showed your personal lineups. I'll show mine right before we show our group lineups, which is interesting because I do think it's the only Drake May lineup we'll see. And again, just so you guys are aware, you can kind of see I build very stars and scrubs. I wasn't lying about being unfortunate with Chris Olave, but like I said, whether it be Polk, whether it be another injury with Marvin Harrison, which we'll get to in a second with our group lineup, sometimes injuries are going to happen and you have to be willing to take that zero. Like immediately after this injury happened, I'm like, okay, Chris Olave is not coming back. And even Donnie can attest to this once I knew it. I'm like, how many of my lineups are dead because I have Chris Olave? And that's how you got to play it sometimes.
Yeah, I also want to point out, too, if you do go back to playing a May, Douglas hauled in Pop Douglas, Gov's favorite player, 9 targets. And he got his first career touchdown. I think that's a very important thing that May seems to have a strong connection.
Douglas is I don't even know if they have a strong connection. It's that May knows, like, he learned enough from sitting behind Brissett to just run the offense.
Douglas is the best route runner on that team.
And Douglas is your number 1 wide receiver. Like, you don't have anyone close to his talent on that team. From what
I really think the number 1 still is Kendrick Bourne. You can't be 5'8" in a number 1. He's 5'8".
Yeah, everyone's talking about Tank Dell being so good. You can be 5'8" number 1. In the minds of everyone and in the game plan. Will that work out for you over time? I agree. No. You're going to end up having a new number 1 every other year because your 5'8" dude can't take that level of volume.
Can I tell you guys a funny story? I'll even embarrass myself if I could get embarrassed. And this is where personal bias, we talked about a couple weeks ago, it's sometimes fun. We have to remember to have fun while we watch football. Like, we're trying to make money, we're trying to have fun. I mean, I review these lineups, and on Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll start, like, my process. Like, all that is fun to me. Like, the whole DFS theory is fun for me. If it wasn't fun, I wouldn't do it. But I do treat it like a hobby. But I love Pop Douglas. Donnie knows this. I was getting coffee the moment Pop Douglas scored his touchdown.
He actually called it out to his coaches. He ran over to them and said that they have not guarded him on the inside shade with that corner at all the whole game. He told them, just give me a shot and I'll score, and he did.
So Donnie, I missed all that, right? So that play's happening behind me. I got Red Zone on. So Scott Hansen's beautiful voice is in my ear. I can still hear, right? But I'm pouring a hot coffee, and all of a sudden I go to turn around with my coffee. I'm having a good Sunday. Pop Douglas scores. I get so excited. I throw up the coffee with my hand. It goes all over my penis. It's burning, but I'm happy because Pop Douglas just scored a touchdown. So if that
you just say dick like a normal person, dude. I'm sorry.
I wish I could, but I promise you, my weird person body says penis instead of dick. I have no problem with vulgar language. For some reason to me, penis is just the go-to.
You spilled coffee on your cock. We all get it, okay?
Yeah, I was a game cop. I did it for the love of the game, okay?
I actually did try Red Zone.
I think you just insulted all of South Carolina there.
I don't know how.
I feel like you just insulted all of South Carolina.
I did watch Red Zone for the first time in my life. I blatantly can say
you've never watched Red Zone before?
No. This week was the first week.
Okay. Hold on though, Donnie. Did you just watch Red Zone or did you watch other games along with it? Like, did you do the 4-box experience?
I had to put other games on because Red Zone on itself, I did not enjoy too much. It was. I would
agree with that. Red Zone by itself, this is actually a good point.
Most of the people I know, they have like their personal game on and then Red Zone to keep track of everything else.
Yeah,
that's how I need to do it because I cannot just watch Red Zone standalone. I'm sorry.
Here's the truth of it though, Donnie. I wouldn't want to watch it a weekend without Red Zone, but if all I had was Red Zone, I'd be just as miserable. I need I'm spoiled now. I'd be wealthy enough where that's the one treat I give myself. Football season, I have a specific way I watch football now. If I didn't have it that way, it wouldn't work for me. Like, I have a whole system. But you definitely need Red Zone and other games. I don't understand how people can just watch Red Zone.
Yeah, it's just too. I love that there's no commercial.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's valuable because when there's commercials, I need something to go to.
I will say, the way people talk about Red Zone, to me, it's overhyped.
Well, it all depends on what you're going for. Like, as someone who, for my entire life until I got Red Zone, I only had a choice of 2 games, and they were usually the games I did not want to watch.
Yeah.
Right.
Like you got to remember, I have 13 years of living on the West Coast. My team's the Panthers. My dad's team's the Browns. My brother's team's the Dolphins.
I don't know.
We never got to watch those teams on the West Coast unless we had Red Zone.
Yeah. And that's why
I don't know what the price difference is, but I'd argue if it's within $70, I think Sunday Ticket's significantly better than Red Zone.
Well, Sunday Ticket was like $1,000 because we would have had to switch to DirecTV and then pay them that amount. So like it was
but
never.
Now it's on YouTube.
Even
TV.
now on YouTube TV, I don't think it's that viable because like I didn't have to pay for all of YouTube TV and get it. And from what
you can
I
get
heard,
Sunday Ticket alone. They offer that package.
Are you sure?
Yeah, they do.
Sure, I still have to sign up for YouTube TV.
No, they offer just YouTube TV.
They do.
Sunday Ticket, but it's much more expensive. It's like
that's what I mean. Like if it's still $300 or something or $250, like the NFL wants them to charge for it, it's like, no, dude, that's the whole reason I didn't switch to DirecTV before.
Right.
Like I
don't know what Red Zone costs. I'm not sure.
That's the thing. I had to pay $70 because I need Sling, but really it's $10 extra to Sling on top of their stuff.
Yeah.
But I can't just buy Red Zone. I have to buy their base package and then add Red Zone to it.
Right.
Which makes it like $70. So that's why I'm like I don't think there's anywhere that just sells Red Zone. So like there's no way to like do that. You when you get Red Zone, you have to factor in what is your whole cable bill and then add the $10 a month to it for Red Zone. And like honestly, it's always cheaper to do that than it is to just buy Sunday Ticket. Until Sunday Ticket is like $200 for the whole season, it won't be cheaper.
It's more.
Sorry, Sunday Ticket. Just not going to be.
Yeah, Sunday Ticket knows they can charge it, and they do. It is. You can get it without YouTube having a YouTube subscription. You have to have a Google account, but they charge like an extra $150.
Yeah, so like that's my whole thing. But like, if you have the money and that's what you want to do, I know I have plenty of people who went and like they did that, or they already had DirecTV in that, or like so like again, I see the plus to having like the Sunday Ticket.
It is a premium.
Red Zone has just always been fine for me. And now I live in an area where I'm probably going to get the games I want to watch more often. So it'll be fine.
It is a premium product.
Fox game of the week at 4 o'clock, the CBS game on the West Coast. It was never the teams I wanted to watch.
It is a premium product, but it is similar to, so we can go full circle to get to these lineups. It's similar to fantasy projection sites. You know, when people spend $120 for the year, they're doing that with a direct purpose. And you should only do that if your bankroll is a certain amount of money and you actually are going to allocate enough money to make those projections and that kind of content worth it. And so...
Yeah, I agree with that because, like, I'm not going to pay $250, $300 for the season for some of these projections.
$500 a year for Sunday Ticket by itself.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying.
But the student plan is $200.
Depends on how like
so that's worth it.
Watching the games is like an entertainment value. So that isn't like that's like how much is that entertainment worth to me? And it was never going to be worth $500.
No, I agree. It's not. I mean, I could get a whole console for that much. And have years.
I could just buy a PS5.
Right, and a game.
It is significantly cheaper. If
I can get PS5 with college football and say fuck the NFL on Sundays. Yeah.
Literally.
I do pay for it with a YouTube subscription, so I can say it is a little cheaper, but it is a premium product.
It's again. Let's not get into a financial argument over NFL Sunday Ticket stuff.
But speaking of a investment, we did invest in this group lineup here, and I thought it was a very good lineup. I believe this is the lineup where we got unlucky here because this was not the Martin Harrison lineup. This is just the lineup that didn't get there because of the Cowboys game.
Yeah, can we see
this
Spencer Rattler
lineup that didn't get there because of Ferg didn't get there. Polk, this was our value lineup, and
the value hit.
Golf got there. We didn't hit on the right guys. We needed like Ferg to be Laporta and St. Brown to be like JMO, and then put that money somewhere else so that we didn't need both McLeod and Polk, who didn't do anything.
Let's go see that Rattler lineup though, because that's the one I'm really interested in breaking down. He got 14. I didn't realize he was up to 14. I thought it was 12.
No, yeah, Rattler didn't do horrible.
No, 14's enough.
He was. Yeah, you're right to say that's enough to keep you going if everything else hit. And Henry hit, but then Kamara didn't really hit with him. Then, again, Tolbert.
How'd we get on the Patriots defense?
This one was actually you see, where it's only a point off. It was
close. This wasn't our lineup. So this was one of my personal. I think this was our Rattler lineup. It was. Okay. Sorry about that.
This was the Rattler lineup. Yeah. Again, this one, it got hurt by the Dallas-Detroit game. We did not have the right pieces, but those pieces were crazy. It was you needed Goff and Laporta and nothing else on a. It was Goff, Laporta, and Monty are the only people who really did anything on a team that scored 47 points. Even the defense wasn't necessary.
Yeah, and we got
that
right.
Was very weird. If I said I played a stack from the team that scored 47, I would think my lineup would be doing very well. And yet, that really didn't do well.
I just looked it up. The reason why he was at 12 and then they readjusted to 14 was they had his rushing stats wrong, apparently, when they officially locked him at 12, and then they readjusted. I think the rule actually says they have up to an hour or 45 minutes prior to the game being over to adjust stats, so that's why.
I believe they had given him a fumble that they took off, which was that would give him back the +2.
Okay. That could have been it. And again, that last interception was him trying to upchuck for a miracle, a kind of comeback. Which
he was they were down a bunch, but at that point, just throw, get your arm, get into a rhythm with this team. And
that's where the luck factor is going to play into your quarterback, whether he has a good day or a bad day. Dak Prescott, there was plays in that game where I feel like players let him down, where he put the ball in the money and he was let down. Or Mike McCarthy, if we're being fair, called a really bad game at times. Now there was times where Dak messed up too, but that's what I'm saying. You weren't wrong for playing a Dak Prescott lineup.
We got super lucky with Terry McLaurin having 2 touchdowns. 2 of the 3 touchdowns.
I would say that's.
McLaurin was the one consistent piece. On Washington, I basically only used McLaurin or Eckler as an extra Washington guy with Jaden Daniels, because I knew that Eckler with no B-Rob would get the passing work at running back at worst. He had been all year.
Donnie is right that we might have gotten lucky to get that touchdown.
We got lucky because people don't score 2 touchdowns in the game that often.
Right.
But the volume that he was getting in that offense was there. If you thought Washington could keep up and push with Baltimore, McLaurin was the play, and that's why we got onto it. Did he have a ceiling outcome? Yes.
Did Washington only score 2 touchdowns?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
they put up 23 points, but they got stuffed in the red zone by Baltimore a bunch.
That's what I'm saying.
That's been Washington all year long. They get stuffed in the red zone a lot.
Well, yeah, that's because they have a rookie quarterback who's been super efficient. But normally, when you're super efficient, you're not taking the chances you need, especially in the red zone. This was the first game he didn't have an 85+% completion percentage. They lose. But he actually had good stats, 269. He was actually quite good. Comparing him to the other rookies,
you have to take risks.
Comparing him to the other rookies, he was the best because he didn't have the turnovers and he had slightly more yards. But again, this was a rookie offense against Baltimore's defense, and they did not. They just weren't able to punch it in. Whereas Henry and them were able to break off big runs. Lamar had a big run, Henry had a big run. Baltimore was able to control that game, which I assumed, which is why I played the Jaden Daniels sign. Baltimore controlled the game. You play Henry because they're controlling the game, and then Daniels would need to throw more, and he did. But Washington's not as good of a team as Baltimore. Let's just be real.
Henry and McLaurin were kind of the same plays for me because I was obviously different price points, so you expect different things, but I'm playing a pace game, right? A game I expect to have a lot of points. a game where I expect two MVP candidates to run their offenses very efficiently and effectively and score points. And yes, they were expensive, like relative to their options you could have chose, especially Henry. And then McLaurin, you had to make a choice on. He wasn't cheap. He wasn't super expensive. But I feel like if you would have played him outside of a game stack, you're making a mistake. So if you're playing him, I think you have a Raven, which would have been Jackson or Henry. So I think we got that right. But to pay up for that kind of consistency, that's where we have to get cheaper. We have to play a Rattler. We have to go down and play a Tolbert over like a CeeDee Lamb. Unfortunately, some of that stuff just didn't pan out, but I thought the process of this lineup was very smart.
Right. I mean, Gibbs came in again. I feel like Gibbs easily can be swayed to Monty in a conversation.
And we just showed a bunch of lineups. Honestly, this one, I feel like of all the lineups, probably got the most unfortunate. Like, I think
Marvin Harrison hitting with the concussion and getting you nothing is like that game Green Bay was pushing. If they had any semblance of an offense, like Marvin Harrison probably would have got there. But like
he already had 2 targets.
Yeah, he had 2 targets and left early with the concussion.
You don't expect 32, but he was averaging 12. Now, maybe 12 points puts us just at the cash line, but it gets us a cash. Like a min cash can keep you alive for another week. Like, so these kind of things are valuable.
And we didn't even need 125, what we needed to get to 135. So yeah, 12 points would have cashed us no problem.
Right. And that's what I'm saying is not enough people think about that kind of stuff. They're like, well, of course Logan takes a chance on Rattler because he wants to get to the, top 10 of this contest, which is true. Sometimes it does suck to be like, a min cash would have felt better. Like, I just think we would have thought differently about this lineup had it min cash, but I honestly think it was our best constructed lineup of the week.
Yeah, no, like we took, like Rattler was kind of high owned at almost 10%. Henry and Bucky were 2 of the, like Henry wasn't chalk, but he was the expensive guy at running back people wanted to play. Like people weren't playing Barkley as much. People weren't playing.
Oh, by the way, Chubb is back next week. And if Ford's out, that's something I might play.
I got to wait and see how the offensive line looks, but like Cleveland actually played better than I think people expected yesterday. That was a lot due to Cleveland playing better.
Yeah.
And Philly playing like shit. Although Philly really, like, if they don't have A.J. Brown, they lose that game.
Donnie knows this as well. We can talk about a bit more future projections since you brought up Donnie. I'm so high on Chubb and coming back and looking good. I'm considering taking him at comeback player of the year because the Jets have been disappointing. They might miss the playoffs, so I don't think Rodgers was a guarantee for it. And Donnie mentioned that Cousins is probably his biggest competition for that comeback player, and I would probably agree with that. But if Chubb can come back and then the Browns can reel off like 4 or 5 wins and be viable again, he will be considered the savior of that city. And people already want to cheer for him given the gruesomeness of that injury.
Well, I don't know what it was for, at the end of the half, but I know Michael Strahan brought up at halftime of the Cleveland game that Cleveland was with Deshaun Watson was 0 of 25 on third downs in the last 25.
He's been like, horrible on third down this year.
That is,
he's just been god awful.
He hasn't even been mistakenly good. He hasn't made a mistake that made him look good yet. He's just been bad every single third down. You can't even accidentally get yourself a first down. Come on.
I forgot to mention that off the top of the show because I like you for transparency purposes. I was down a little bit on FanDuel this week, so I lost a bit of money on FanDuel. Overall, I'm exactly $1 in terms of my profit margins for this week. And some of you may have been like, well, if you were with us in the offseason, be like, why? How? You had more money in your account before. I can promise you I haven't deposited in over a year. But we put some money over on Underdog for the purposes of doing some more interesting draft content. We always want to preach, diversifying portfolios. So that is why we're actually going early tonight, is because Tuesday we're planning to be with you for a specialized NBA best ball contest. They have some of the more unique best ball contests over there. So that's the plan. Go ahead, Donnie.
We do have a comment about next week.
Oh, we
starting,
do.
guys. I would say I would just lean Drake May because Daniel Jones has to play Philly, but it's honestly a toss-up. Both guys can get you 25. Both guys can get you 8.
We're such a process show. I have to hit you with a process. You could play either one of those guys. In fairness, you have to decide what kind of lineup that you want to play. If you play either one, because I feel like they're different.
He's doing season long. That's just his 2 quarterbacks.
No, but I'm saying like he's got to decide what upside he needs for that week in season long, because Drake May's a more running quarterback. Like they're both running quarterbacks, Daniel Jones and Drake May, but they're different versions of the offense. I think Drake May, for example, has more potential. So if you need that 30-point game, it's Drake May. If you need more of a consistency game, you might be getting Neighbors back. So that's where you'd be like, well, I know Daniel Jones should look better. Maybe you go with him. But again, Gov mentioned it too. You got to wait on news. Neighbors affects Daniel Jones a great deal. So if he comes back off a concussion, Daniel Jones looks a lot different than Drake May. That's how I would view it. You can't make that decision today.
Yeah.
If you don't want to think about it,
and the Patriots offense looks different with Ron.
I was about to say, if you don't want to think about it, do any of the research, and you just want us to tell you,
no,
I would say play Drake May. Just because Giants at home against this Eagles team,
that's how I feel.
Without Neighbors, I don't think Daniel Jones does anything. Whereas Jacksonville is garbage. And we just saw Caleb Williams tear him up. I could see Drake May going over to London and tearing him up. Then again, Jacksonville's due for a bounce back, and the Eagles probably want to play well after barely beating Cleveland. So I'm probably wrong there. Play Daniel Jones, but again, that's why. Like, if you want us to just say, I'll just say a random name, sure. But there's definitely pluses.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
And I agree with Logan. If you need a floor, play Drake May. If you want to shoot for ceiling, play Jones, but only if Neighbors is there. And that's the real problem. Is you're going to have to decide to play Drake May before you get news on Neighbors, really. Unless Neighbors practices in full during the week. Like, if you see Neighbors practicing like he's going to play on Sunday, I think Daniel Jones is definitely the better play.
Because even Donnie would tell you the Patriots want to run the ball. How many? Like, I'm not saying it couldn't happen. How many guys could take the pass from Drake May and house it, Donnie?
What?
How many people could take the pass from Drake May and score a touchdown, like a 60 or 70-yard touchdown? Even like 55 might be hard for the Patriots.
Maybe one, literally. I think maybe one.
Right, and every time Neighbors catches the ball, he could could.
You're comparing Malik Neighbors to Jalen Polk, essentially. Like that. I mean, Wandale Robinson would be Pop Douglas. That kind of thing.
Now, I will say Drake May has more of a rushing upside. Like he could.
I don't think so. Like I really don't. I think Daniel Jones has more of a rushing upside. We've seen him have 80-yard scampers.
Fair. So again, you have to decide why you're playing guys, but I think you have a fun discussion to have throughout the week.
Yeah, I definitely think that's a good question. But it really depends on what you're more comfortable with in that scenario.
Well, for example, in best ball, we have Tracy Vidal. We have some of fun rookies. Now, they're fun because they actually worked out. They're not injured. But we could have easily had Blake Corum and felt differently about.
I don't think there would have ever been a world where we drafted Blake Corum. I'm going to be honest.
Maybe not. But that's what I was going to mention. We can also victory lap Devon Achane having this terrible season, because if anyone watched our best ball content, we were never going to draft that guy.
Oh, yeah. He was down a 6th-round pick for us, and we just stopped moving him down because we just didn't think there was no point anymore.
But there was also guys where you can be like, I want to play this guy because he's fun. I want to play this guy because I drafted him, and I want to see his highest upside. And if you lose on stuff like that too, that's okay. Sometimes you have to admit why you're playing things and why you do things.
I definitely played a Drake May lineup because I want to watch it him as a Patriot fan anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And if he then wins me money, I'm going to love Drake May even more.
Let's be fair. He's the most exciting quarterback you've had in in like probably a decade.
No,
like
he's the most exciting quarterback of my life. Brady was not exciting. He was going to kill you. And I like boring, kill you football, but that's not exciting. Let's be honest.
And I get it. And Brady, if we're being fair, was there before you were like a football fan, before you were really, encapsulated in it. Like if Drake May turns out to be really good, you're going to be able to watch him your whole life. And there is something special to that. Trust me, as an old man, there is something special to that. Gov, any other thoughts you want to mention about this game, this week looking back?
Oh, let's see. I haven't been able to do my full review of my stuff, but like for the most part this week, like again, it went very well for me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember talking about it with people on Saturday night and with my dad on Sunday, and realizing that there was a high chance that if Detroit actually is able to play out their game plan, it would lower the ceiling of the Dallas guys. And so I probably shouldn't have been as heavy on that game as I wanted to, especially since I ended up stacking Tampa, New Orleans. I ended up stacking Washington, Baltimore. I did not stack Jordan Love like I wanted to because I left my Dak stuff in.
But Dallas, usually when they're losing, they don't like to pull their guys, and that generally can help a guy like Dak get up to the 23 points late or something. I mean,
he had one game against Baltimore where he got a couple garbage time touchdowns and they left him in. But no, usually when Dak has like a big game, it's Dallas is the one putting up points and blowing out. Dak usually doesn't have the big game in garbage time. So that should have been.
But he's not getting benched usually.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying he's getting. Look.
They'll let him sling it till the end.
Well, no, they were legit losing so bad. Like they should have. That was.
I agree. They should have just taken it all out. A Hendon Hooker should have came in the game earlier. Things like that. But
was it Hooker or was it Cooper Rush? I forget.
No, Hendon Hooker's the Lions backup. He did play a bit. But he should have even gotten to the game earlier.
It could have went very bad. I'm telling you, Dan Campbell, if you want to believe this is a culture, and maybe it is a good culture thing to be like, we want to kill the Cowboys for how that playoff loss, the mistake the refs made, the whole eligible, uneligible thing. No matter what you think about that, Campbell and that team took that personal, and they made it a point to keep their start. Like that same Brown touchdown, I promise you, was totally vindictive.
Well, you did see that the corner from Dallas who was talking about Pickens, he sent a DM to Amon-Ra after the game.
I did not see that.
Yeah, he sent him a DM and said, "Just call Amon-Ra a bitch." Honestly,
he is.
I mean, what a crazy thing to say after a football game to somebody, just for no reason.
It's terrible language, to be fair. But what Amon-Ra is he is unapologetically angry and aggressive, like very Kobe mentality, and it's going to rub people the wrong way, and they're going to.
But that corner, this is now his second week in a row doing this.
Oh yeah,
he did it to George Pickens. He did it to now Amon-Ra. I just think he has an attitude problem.
You're talking about Jordan Lewis?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just him being stupid.
Yeah, well, it is, but I meant more like St. Brown's going to irritate you in the right ways because
that's his job.
He has a chip on his shoulder. Like he remembers everyone that was drafted ahead of him.
It's quite literally his job to aggravate you. If you're aggravating somebody to make them make a mistake, then he's doing his job very well.
Yeah, he's an aggravator, but it's going to show through when people can't handle it, and that's what he basically anticipates is what I'm saying.
All right.
So I think this was a very efficient show. Is there anything else you want to mention before we get out of here? Because, like I said, we have a lot of diversifying now with some FanDuel money, with some underdog money. I thought it might be good because we haven't done a whole lot of underdog, and because it's new to us, we're going to obviously do the NBA content tomorrow. I want to get my day trade tomorrow. But
Tomorrow, our usual review time, right? It's going to be that 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock Eastern.
Oh yeah, we will be on our normal time tomorrow.
Yeah,
night,
yeah. So it'll be
8:45 or so.
Okay.
But we should be able to do an NBA draft, which I've looked at a couple of draft lobbies. Like my dad did one the other day. I've seen the thing. Right now, let's end the show. Have you looked at a draft lobby?
No.
I have not.
Do you know who the top 5 picks are and what order they go in?
No idea.
I would guess they're forwards or centers.
I'm assuming Joker, like Doncic's first, Joker.
No, it's Giannis. Giannis is definitely in the top 5.
So it's not Doncic, it's not Joker, and Giannis is not in the top 5.
I'm not surprised by that.
I am. I would have Giannis 1, 2, or 3.
Me too, but I'm not surprised.
Behind Joker and the guy who I have, who is the number 1 pick going this year.
Is it going to be Shea?
Shea is the 5th. He's the one, but it's Shea and I think AD are the ones keeping Giannis out.
Ew.
1, 2, 3. Wemby, Joker, Luka.
Okay.
I love Wemby this year. Like the way he was putting up numbers, if you think he's playing all the games like Embiid's not, Wemby's a lock this year.
I like the Wemby number 1, honestly.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Wemby, Joker, Luka, 1, 2, 3 makes sense.
Yes.
Then having Shea and like someone else.
Shea was one of the highest fantasy scorers last year. He's going to get you boards. He's going to get you a lot of assists. And he's going to score a lot of points.
I'm a little lower on him, but like I 100% agree. Like he's the guy in Oklahoma. He's running that offense. He's going to put up numbers. So like I'm with you on that. But again, I'm with sort of.
I don't have him top 5.
I would have gone to the big forwards and that. I would have gone like before. I would have put in a Shea or an Ant. Now that it's his team and he's alone, I would have put in a Giannis. I would have put in. I think Embiid is actually right there at 5th, and then Giannis.
Okay, so Embiid, who just said he's not going to play back-to-back games at all.
Again, this was yesterday. Embiid just said that.
But they've already said he's going to be resting a lot more.
Yeah, but people saying he's going to be resting. People have said a lot of things that didn't fucking happen.
Embiid said it before.
Embiid has said that the organization is going to keep him, but he just came out yesterday and said he's probably not playing a back-to-back ever again.
But that's where we have to be as fantasy managers. We have to take in the information and then dissect it for what it means for us. Because whether we want to believe it or don't want to believe it, you have to leverage it for your fantasy profit. So, like, I do think that's a decision point we'll have to make. The reason I say that, and for people that are not basketball aware, I haven't done a fantasy basketball in a long time. But what I do know is you want as many stats or categories filled as possible with one player. So the reason I would say centers or forwards are more valuable is because the drop-off between really good stat stuffing forwards and centers falls off very quickly.
See, that's more for redraft and season-long basketball, because those will be the ones with the categories that you got to fill in. If we're going to be doing a NBA best ball, it's going to be more like a normal, like, you just want total fantasy points.
Is it total fantasy points?
It's just going to be fantasy points for the site, yeah.
Okay,
we will still need positionality. So dual position guys will be very, like, highly, like, touted guys. They will be like the top dudes to get.
And the other thing we know about basketball, opposed to most other fantasy sports, is basketball is strongly dominated by minutes. It's not so much stacks. Because in the NFL, it's so heavy on stacks, and then like that kind of influence. This is influenced by minutes.
Yeah, I need guys on the court. Like if I can, I will take a low end starter who gets me 25 to 30 minutes before I take that 6th man who only plays 22.
Donnie, get ready for the victory lap. That's your point against Embiid here. You're not saying like he's a terrible talent. You're saying he's.
Oh no, he's still a great player. But when he's going to miss 20 games a year, guaranteed, like he's not a first-round pick.
Yeah.
He would legit have to be the highest scorer on the slate every slate he plays. He's active for that to work out.
So I've been waiting for good moments in my career, in my fantasy career, to diversify my portfolio. So I've never played on underdog before, but I've heard about the battle royals and those kind of contests. I would be willing, if we enjoy our time tomorrow night, I'd be willing to do a Sunday Battle Royal weekly, or like one of these contests, even where we bet some projections over under. So we just explore the website, have some fun. We can do some of that on football as well. If there was an over under, stuff like that, we could correlate. So I do think we could play with this on Saturday in between a lineup builder if we wanted as well. Just wanted to throw that out to people, get us thinking about it. With that being said, though, I don't think there's much more we should cover tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night for the NBA Best Ball, which, again, I'm excited for because I haven't seen too many people covering it in the YouTube universe. Like, I see a lot of best ball content for NFL, haven't seen a ton for NBA. So I'm excited to kind of fill that void for the people. Anything else you want to mention?
Captain Josh Allen tonight? I don't know.
Watch out for injury news. They called up Frank Gore Jr.
Not Dalvin.
Could mean
James Cook's probably out.
Could mean Cook is out. Could mean absolutely nothing. We'll see.
I will say Ray Davis would become an insta smash for me. He's looked very good in his limited work.
I was about to say, like, if James Cook is out, is it Ty Johnson? Is it Ray Davis?
It's Ray Davis.
I know people will play both, and you'll have to make a stand.
Like, I'm not seeing anyone talk about Ray Davis. They're saying it like if Cook's out, everyone's playing Ty Johnson.
Well, people want to play Ty Johnson too for the narrative. He played with the Jets. There's that whole like he wants to send the fuck you message to the like. I get it. I would play 100% Ray Davis just because I think he would give me some leverage. So I understand the risk.
That's a tough one because, like, Ray Davis has 2 weeks where he's basically not been on the field, and Ty Johnson's just consistently 15, 20 snaps a game.
Ray Davis has 26 carries this year. Ty Johnson has 10.
Ty Johnson averages 14.2 snaps a game. Ray Davis averages
right. 8. Well, Johnson's on the field.
So, like, when Ray Davis comes in, they want to give him the ball. But Ty Johnson's the guy that they would trust out there in the other situations where you're not running the ball.
And yes. I do think if it's a close game, you see more Johnson because that's the guy that Allen trusts to have more dump offs, to have more screens. He's probably more involved in the creative part of that game.
I don't know about that. Like,
Ty
again,
Johnson has no catches. Like, Ray Davis has 4 and 5 targets. Ty Johnson has 6 targets. Sorry.
I was about to say he has 4 catches on 6 targets.
So they both have 4
But he
catches.
hasn't had a target in 2 games.
That's good for me because I'm playing all Ray Davis. I think Ray Davis is super talented.
Okay. Well,
and I'm gonna play $200 Frank Gore Jr. and be fucking shitting myself.
Hey, I might do that too now. I like the $200.
I know you, Logan. You're looking at that $200 guy. That's why I brought him up.
I won on a single game showdown yesterday, by the way, because I played Vidal in a single game contest. So you do have to play the $200 value. That is a lesson for people. Play the $200 value when it makes sense. Good night, guys.
Have a good night, everyone.
Peace out, everyone.